Hello and welcome back. Today we will discuss cell division. If you want this video in Hindi, you can go to the link I have mentioned in the description box. This video is also available in Hindi version, right? So let's start the lecture. What is the basic definition of cell division? Cell division is a process by which a parent cell divides into two or more daughter cells. This is a very basic definition. Suppose this is a parent cell. It can divide into two or more daughter cells, right? First of all, the most important question is that why cell division is most important event of life? Because of two main reasons. First reason is that cells divide so that living things can grow. Remember one thing, living organisms grow not because of increase in the size of cell, but they grow due to the increasing number of cells in their body. Okay, from the time of birth till we continue to grow, from the time of birth we continue to grow, okay, over the years, and this is possible only because of increasing number of cells in our body. As we grow continuously, the number of cells in our body increases due to continuous division of cells, okay, and this is only possible because of cell division. Okay, so you have to remember always that we grow only because of increasing number of cells in our body, not because the size of cell increases. Size of cell remains constant. Okay, second important thing, that cells divide to replace the old. Second important thing, that cells divide to replace old, damaged and dead cells. You know that in our body cells also die, cells also get damaged, right? And to replace those old, damaged and dead cells, the cells need to divide continuously. Now the question arises that how cells divide. You know that in our body there are mainly two type of cells. First is vegetative cell and second type of cell is reproductive cells. Vegetative cells are also known as somatic cells, and reproductive cells are also known as germ cells, right? So vegetative cell division takes place for the basic growth of our body, while the reproductive cell division takes place for the reproduction process, okay, to produce the offspring. So remember the difference, basic difference between these two type of cell division. And the process of vegetative cell division is known as mitosis, while the process of reproductive cell division is known as meiosis. Okay, first we will see the basic difference between mitosis and meiosis, and then we will discuss in detail about both the process. So the first difference between mitosis and meiosis is that the mitosis, in mitosis process, each daughter cell genetically identical to the parent cell. What does it mean? It means that if this is the parent cell and it is divided into two daughter cells, and remember one thing, that in mitosis process, one parent cell divides into two daughter cells, only two daughter cells in one division, okay. And we are talking that the daughter cells are genetically identical to the parent cells. It means they are replica of each other. What does it mean? It means that if parent cell contains 46 number of chromosomes, then both these daughter cells will also contain 46 number of chromosome and also the exactly same genome that the parent cell were carrying. Same genome, okay, same genome will be transmitted into the daughter cells. That's why we are saying that each daughter cells are genetically identical to the parent cells, and that's why they are the replica of each other. Second important point is that because same number of chromosomes, or you can say same number of genomic content, is transmitted from parent cells to daughter cells, that's why it is known as equitational division, right? Now the next point is have same number of chromosome as in parent cell. Okay. Now I already told you in starting that the mitosis process is good for basic growth of the body, repair of the body, and maintenance of the body. Okay, maintenance means the cells which we lost. Okay, you know that the skin cells shed away from our body daily, millions and trillions of skin cells shed away. Okay, and to compensate the loss of those cells, the cell needs to divide continuously, and in that process the mitosis plays important role, right? Suppose this is a cell, parent cell, it divides into two daughter cells. Okay, and both the daughter cells will contain the same number of chromosome as one in parent cell and same type of genetic content. This is the process which we know as mitosis. Now we talk about meiosis. In meiosis, parent cell divides into four daughter cells. Okay. Second point is that all the daughter cells have half number of chromosomes. It means that if this is a parent cell, it is divided into four daughter cells. Then if the parent cell contains 46 number of chromosome, then the all daughter cells will contain 23 number of chromosome. That's why this is known as reductional division. Okay, so always remember that the mitosis is known as equitational division while the meiosis is known as reductional division. Okay, now next point is this meiosis process is important for sexual reproduction. I already told you about this. Next point is due to the meiosis, the gametes produced have genetic diversity. How this is possible, we will talk when we will discuss about the meiosis. Suppose this is parent cell. For the first division, it will divide into two daughter cell, and for the second round of division, both these cells will divide into further two daughter cells. So finally we will get four daughter cells from one parent cell, and all the daughter cells will contain half number of chromosome as compared to the parent cell. That's why it is known as reductional division. So these are the basic difference between mitosis and meiosis. Okay, now first we will discuss about the mitosis process. Okay, now here we need to discuss about cell cycle. What is cell cycle? Cell behaves exactly as we behave in our life, or you can say we behave exactly similar to the cell because we are made up of cell. Cell is the basic unit of life. As the cell behaves in their life, we also follow the same type of life cycle. Suppose you can take example, we take birth, and during the whole life we do multiple things, we perform multiple functions, we learn so many skills. As soon as we complete our life cycle, we go to the death. Okay, between birth and death we perform so many functions, we learn so many things, we do so many things, right? And when you see the cycle of a cell, life cycle of a cell also behave exactly as we behave. Okay, cell also originate. Okay, suppose this is the parent cell, it is divided into two daughter cells. Now we will talk about this cell. This is the parent cell, it is divided into two daughter cells. Okay, suppose this is the parent cell, it is divided into two daughter cells. Now we will talk about this cell. This is the meiosis. Okay, now this particular cell. This cell took birth, right? Now it will also have to divide further into two daughter cells. But before division, now suppose here it has to divide into two daughter cells, but before division, it will also perform some metabolic functions. Okay, it will grow in size. Which kind of metabolic functions? Like it will perform replication of DNA, transcription, okay, translation. So all these process will be performed by a cell before it divides further into two daughter cells. It also grow in size. Okay, you can also say that during its life cycle it for the prepare for the division. So these type of functions every cell perform before it divides further, right? Okay, so this is known as cell cycle. From the time of birth to the time of death, is in this whole journey it performs so many metabolic functions. It complete one cycle. One cycle means one division. Now we will discuss some important points about the cell cycle. Cell cycle is known as the journey of a cell from its origin to its division into daughter cells, right? One cell cycle is divided mainly in two phases. One cell cycle completes in two phases. One is interphase and second is M phase, right? Now, what is interphase? So interphase is the period between cell division. Period between cell division means from the time of birth to the time of division. This is the period known as interphase, where it performs so many metabolic functions, as I told you, where cell grows, engages in various metabolic activities. Got it? Second phase is M phase. M phase is also known as mitotic phase. Mitotic phase, where the cell move towards a division. Okay, now we will see through a diagram, then the picture will be more clear. Now you can see here that there are two main phases in a cell cycle, interphase and mitosis. Now you will see here that interphase starts from here, and as the interphase ends, the mitosis process starts. Now you will see here that the interphase is further divided into three phases: G1 phase, S phase, and G2 phase. We will talk about these phases in next slide. When the interphase completes, the mitosis process starts. And you will see here that the mitosis is also further divided into prophase, prometaphase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, and finally it goes toward the cytokinesis, which is known as the cell division. Okay, now we have to go into the details of each and every phase so that we can understand the basic concepts of mitosis. Okay, now as I told you that interphase and M phase are the two main phases of a cell cycle. Now we will see that interphase is divided into G1 phase, S phase, and G2 phase, and mitotic phase is divided into prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. Okay. Now, first we will talk about some important point of cell cycle. Then we will move towards the each phases and we will discuss in detail. Okay. So the average time required for cell division in most of the higher eukaryotes is 18 to 24 hours. Okay. This is the average time, but this time 18 to 24 hours can vary according to the cell. Okay, there are different type of cells present in our body. Some cells can take more time than this. Okay, it can take, some cells can take a week to divide, a month to divide, or longer. But some cells can also divide within less time as compared to this, right? So it depends on the cell, it depends on the type of cells, but the average time is to divide a cell is 18 to 24 hours. Mitosis is the shortest period in complete cell cycle. When you compare interphase and mitosis, you will see here that mitosis is a shorter period compared to interphase. Okay, but when we only talk about interphase, you need to remember that interphase contains G1, S, and G2 phase, and in these three phases, G2 phase is the shortest phase, right? When you talk about the complete cell cycle, okay, and if you have to choose from interphase and mitotic phase, then mitotic phase is the shortest one. And if you are talking only about interphase and you have to select the shortest phase in the interphase, then you have to select the G2 phase. G2 phase is the shortest phase in interphase, right? Cells divide in response to external stimulus in the form of growth factor. Everyone needs growth factor for the growth, okay, for the increasing in their size. We also need growth factors, that therefore cells also require some growth factors, and this, for this point, we will discuss in detail when we'll talk about the cell cycle regulation, right? Now, in absence of growth factors, cell remains in G0 phase, but the cells remain metabolically active. Now, what is G0 phase? When cell does not get any growth factor, it do not go towards the division and it stays in the G0 phase. G0 phase is located here, just before the G1 phase and after the cytokinesis, okay, here. But cells remains metabolically active, and as soon as it gets the growth factor, it goes towards the cell division and it completes its cell cycle. Okay, now this is the series of a cell cycle. You need to remember this sequence: G1 phase, S phase, G2 phase, and M phase. Okay, in this sequence, cell completes its cell cycle. So first we will talk about G1 phase. Actually, G1 phase is the interval between cell division and DNA replication. Cell division and DNA replication. You will see here that G1 phase lies between the mitosis process and S phase. So mitosis is the process where cell actually divides. Okay, and S phase is the process where cell replicates its DNA. So G1 phase is the phase between cell division and DNA replication. It is the most metabolically active phase. Okay, why it is so, we will see. Okay, now among G1 phase, S phase, and G2 phase, G1 phase is the longest phase and it lasts usually for 8 to 10 hours, right? Because in G1 phase, so many important metabolic functions are performed. Like you can see here, cell grows in size, it carries out normal metabolism, and the cell organelles like Golgi body, mitochondria, okay, these type of cell organelles replicate, duplicate. That's why G1 phase takes longer time as compared to S phase and G2 phase, and that's why we are saying that it is the most metabolically active phase. Next point is that synthesis of different proteins and enzymes required for DNA replication in S phase. Okay, so I told you that cell performs its DNA replication in S phase, that is known as synthesis phase. So you know that in DNA replication, so many proteins, so many enzymes like DNA polymerase, primase, okay, single stranded binding proteins, helicase, gyrase, these are proteins, these are enzymes, and cell require these enzymes during the DNA replication. Okay, so it needs to produce these enzymes, and these all proteins and enzymes are synthesized in G1 phase. That's why it is the most metabolically active phase and it takes longer time. Okay, now this is very important for you. Here, the number of chromosome in cell is 46. Okay, remember one thing. Here, this is a cell and it is not yet divided. Okay, it has started its journey. Okay, so how many chromosomes will be there? 46. You know that in each cell of our body, we are taking example of human cell, and you know that in human cell there are 46 number of chromosome. Okay, so number of chromosome in G1 phase will be 46. You have to remember this. And the content of chromosome is also equivalent to 46. Okay, this is the scenario of G1 phase. Here the number of chromosome will be 46 and the content of chromosome will also be 46. Now you don't have to confuse between number of chromosome and content of chromosome. Okay, suppose you know that there are 23 pairs of chromosomes are present in the human cell. Each human cell, suppose this is pair 1, this is pair 2, and like this there are 23 pairs are present. Okay, and total is 46 number of chromosome, because in each pair there are 2 homologous chromosomes are present, right? So number is 46 and the content is also 46. Okay, content means the amount of DNA. So amount of DNA is will also be equivalent to 46. So we are representing the number by N and content by C, right? Now here comes S phase. In S phase, you know that the DNA replication takes place and the chromosome duplication takes place, right? DNA replication, it is the phase of DNA replication, it is the phase of histone synthesis. Amount of DNA gets double but the number of chromosome remains same. Now see here, it is mentioned that amount of DNA get doubles but the number of chromosome remains same. What does it mean? It means that I told you that in each pair there are 2 homologous chromosomes. Suppose this is pair number 1, this is pair number 2, and like this there are 23 pair of chromosome. Okay, 23 pairs of chromosome. So here in S phase the DNA replication takes place and the amount of chromosome gets duplicated. It means that in S phase the amount of chromosome will get duplicated and it will appear like this. Now you can see here that this single chromatid got double. The amount is now double. Okay, but this is one chromosome, this is one single chromosome, and this is single chromosome. So Similarly, all 23 pair of chromosome amount will be double. Okay, this is also single chromosome, this is also single chromosome, this is also single chromosome. Okay, now you can say that the number of chromosome will be 46 here also, but the content of the chromosome gets double. Now I hope you are clear, right? So number of chromosome will be 46, but the content of chromosome will be 92. It will be equal to the 92 number of chromosomes. Got the point? Okay, the amount of chromosome gets double, right? Now we will move towards the G2 phase. Okay, in G2 phase, G2 phase is the most important phase. Why? Because here cell decides to go either for division or apoptosis. Okay, here cell decides whether it should go for division, or if there are some problem going on in a cell, it does not prefer to go towards the division. It prefers to go for the apoptosis. Apoptosis is what? Apoptosis is programmed cell death. Okay, cell programs its death. Why? Because it is not ready for division. Why? Because there are some problems going on a cell, and if this problematic cell is this if this cell which is containing so many defects goes for the division, then the daughter cells will also be defected. Okay, that's why it decides for the apoptosis. And if everything is fine, then it moves toward the cell division. That's why G2 phase is the most important phase of the cell cycle. It prepares here for the cell division, right? Formation of active maturation promoting factor. Maturation promoting factor is required for the transition from G2 to M. MPF is a kind of protein which helps a cell to go from G2 phase to M phase. Okay, for this we will talk about when we will talk about the cell cycle regulation, how it helps a cell to enter from G2 phase to M phase. Right now, you know that the chromosome content has been doubled in S phase. So here also the number of chromosome will be 46, but the content of chromosome will be equivalent to 92, equivalent to 4C. Okay, right? Now here we will compare the M phase cells with G1 phase cells, S phase cells, and G2 phase cells. Okay, here you can see that in the G1 chromosomes are seen in a long tangled threads, while the mitotic chromosome here you can see are appearing as short, thick, and compact structure. Okay, here you can see these are the mitotic structures, M phase chromosomes. Okay, you will understand when we will talk about the mitosis. Okay, how these chromosomes got compact, how these chromosomes thickened, okay, and got short during the cell cycle when they entered into the M phase. Here you will see that in S phase, when DNA replicates, so when DNA replicates, the amount of DNA gets doubled, and that's why you can see here the appearance of chromosome fragments are in pulverized. They are so much mixed with each other, the picture is not so clear. Okay, why? Because here the amount of DNA got doubled. Okay, right? But when you will see the mitotic chromosome, you can see here they are very compact in size, very short in size, and very defined in size, right? Okay. And you know that after G1, S phase comes after the G1 phase, and when S phase completes, it enters into the G2 phase. Okay, so when cell continue to move from G1 to S and S to G2 phase, the chromosomes appearance also changes during the cell cycle. Okay, the chromosomes start to compact slowly, start to get short slowly, and the thickness of the chromosomes also increase. Okay, the size of the chromosome decrease. You can see here the G2 chromosome, they are much more defined and compact as compared to S phase and G1 phase. Why? Because G2 phase is more nearer to the M phase, mitotic phase, where the chromosome appearance is very clear. Chromosome shape is very clear. Okay, so here you can see the G2 chromosomes and mitotic chromosomes. Okay, now we will talk about M phase. M phase is mitotic phase, and mitotic phase is also further divided into four main phases: prophase, prometaphase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase. Okay, so here you will see that in prophase the number of chromosome is 46, but the content is of chromosome is 92. You know the basic reason of these numbers, why this is 46 and why this is 92, because the number of chromosome remains same, but the content of chromosome got duplicated in S phase. Okay, then it entered into G2 phase, and then it entered into M phase. Right now the M phase is going on. Okay, here also when the prometaphase comes, and this is the stage between prophase and metaphase, you can also call prometaphase as early metaphase. Okay, here also the number of chromosomes are 46, but the content of chromosome are 92. You can see here the structure is similar as I drawn in previous slide. Okay, the content of chromosome is doubled here. Now in metaphase, all the chromosomes are arranged in center in a metaphasic plate. This is known as metaphasic plate. Okay, right? Here also the number of chromosome will be 46 and the content of chromosome will be 92. Okay, now when cell enters into the anaphase, an important transition is performed by the cell here. You will see here that the chromatids are separated from each other. Okay, half of the chromosomes start moving towards the one pole, and half of the chromosome start moving toward the other pole. They both half number of chromosomes start moving towards the opposite poles. Okay, now you can see here that the chromatids are separated. So here the content is 92 equal to 4C, and the number also got doubled. Right, number also got doubled. So here the number of chromosome was 46. Now here the number of chromosome is 92. Okay, now when it enters into the telophase, all the chromosomes separated is finally at the opposite poles. Okay, and the number of chromosome is 92 and the content of chromosome is 92. Right, now we will discuss every phase of mitosis in detail. So first we will talk about prophase. In prophase, the chromosome compaction occurs, or you can say chromosome condensation occurs during the early prophase with the help of condensin protein. Okay, condensin is a protein which helps in the condensation of chromosome. Okay, which occurs in the prophase. As I told you that as the cell progress in its cell cycle, as the cell moves towards the M phase where it has to divide, where the chromosomes has to divide, and for the division, chromosome should be in a shape. For the equal division of chromosome, the symmetry of the chromosome will be defined. That's why it can divide into two equal contents. Okay, now here suppose this is a chromosome, okay, which were in interphase. Now can you divide this chromosome in two equal proportions? The answer will be no. But when we talk about the mitotic chromosome, the symmetry of the chromosome is defined. Okay, the shape of the chromosome is defined, and now we can divide this chromosome into two equal proportions. Okay, that's why the chromosome condensation, chromosome compaction, the size should be defined for the division, and this is almost complete when the cell enters into the M phase. And the starting phase of M phase is prophase, where the chromosome compaction occurs. Okay, during the early prophase with the help of condensin. Condensin is a protein which helps in the condensation of protein. So we'll talk about some points in of condensin. Here you can see that these are the chromosome in interphase. You can see here that there is no compaction, they are undefined, they are scattered here and there. Okay, but when it comes into the M phase, you can see here the shape of the chromosome is defined. Okay, you can see the chromatids of a chromosome which is defined in size, and that's why this can be separated, this can be divided into two equal proportion. Here you can see the defined size of chromosome. This is a metaphase chromosome. This type of chromosome structure is only visible in metaphase. The next point is chromosome become much shorter and thicker, which is visible as thin threads. You got the point, right? As the prophase progress, the chromatin becomes shorter. When the cell leaves the prophase and enters into the prometaphase, the chromatin becomes shorter, thicker due to removal of histones and non-histone proteins. Okay, you know that in interphase, the DNA does not stay alone. It stays with some histone and non-histone proteins, and these are the proteins which prevents the chromosome compaction, chromosome duplication, and DNA replication. That's why for compaction and for condensation of DNA of chromosome, the histone and non-histone protein should be removed. Chromosomes are seen to be composed of two chromatids. Okay, you can see here two chromatids which is attached together at centromere known as sister chromatids. Okay, this type of chromosome contains two sister chromatids. These are sister chromatids, and these two sister chromatids are attached with single centromere. Okay, right? So these sister chromatids are replicated in interphase, And exactly if we talk, then S phase, because S phase is the phase which is under interphase. Okay, so the duplication of this chromosome occurred in S phase, but this type of structure is not appeared there in S phase. But as the cell progressed towards the condensation of chromosome, this type of structure is seen, and you can easily visualize the sister chromatids. So that's why I have mentioned this statement, that the sister chromatids replicated in interphase but start to appear here. Now here in prophase, the disassembly of cytoskeleton occurs and assembly of mitotic spindle fibers occur. Okay, you know that in every cell there are cytoskeleton. And what is the function of cytoskeleton? They provide a proper shape to the cell. They fix the cell organelles in the cell. Okay, and they help in the transport of some proteins and some components. Okay, with the help of motor proteins. But here in prophase, the ultimate aim of every cell is to divide. Okay, is to divide their chromosomes. So here in prophase, these cytoskeletons disassemble and they are modified to form mitotic spindle fibers, which helps in the segregation of chromosomes. How these mitotic spindle fibers helps in segregation of chromosome, we will see in later slide. Centrosome start moving towards the opposite poles. Okay, so these are centrosome. Here in prophase, they start moving towards the opposite poles. At the end of prophase, nucleolus and nuclear envelope disappear due to the phosphorylation of lamins. Okay, lamins are the proteins which are found in nuclear envelope, and if this protein is not available or inactive, then the nuclear envelope disappears. Okay, because this is important for the formation of nuclear envelope, and in this prophase the lamins gets phosphorylated, and due to the phosphorylation the lamins get inactivate, and inactivation of lamin leads to the disappearance of nuclear envelope and nucleolus, right? Now here the cell organelles such as Golgi complex and endoplasmic reticulum also disappears. So these are the point important for the prophase. Okay. Now we will talk about prometaphase. In prometaphase, nuclear membrane is disappeared completely. Okay, you have to remember here that the nuclear membrane is disappeared completely. Maximum condensed chromosomes are seen, right? The maximum condensation you can see here in prometaphase. Centrosomes are at opposite poles. These are the centrosomes and they are at the opposite poles. Formation of mitotic spindle fibers complete. These are the mitotic spindle fibers and the formation is complete, and they are attached to the kinetochores of the chromosome. Now what is kinetochores? So here we will talk about centromere and kinetochore. Okay, I told you that the sister chromatids which is duplicated in S phase and appeared in prometaphase are attached to the centromere. What is centromere? The centromere is the residence of highly repeated DNA sequence. Okay, now what is kinetochore? So kinetochore assembles at the centromere at early prophase. Kinetochores are some proteins which are assembled at the centromere during early prophase. Why these get assembled at the centromere due to two reasons. The site of attachment of the chromosome to dynamic microtubule of the mitotic spindle. Kinetochore helps in the attachment of chromosome with the mitotic spindle fibers. So mitotic spindle fibers do not attach directly to the chromosome, but they attach to the kinetochores assembled at the centromere. Okay, and the residence kinetochores are the residence of several motor proteins which is involved in the chromosome motility. Kinetochores have so many motor proteins also, and those motor proteins helps in the movement of these chromatids. When they are separated in anaphase, this sister chromatid will move in this direction and this will move in opposite direction, and this type of movement is helped by motor proteins which are present at kinetochores. Okay, now next point is chromosomes start moving towards the equator. Here in prometaphase, you can see here in prometaphase they start to move towards the equator. Okay, here, right? And when the metaphase comes, all the chromosomes are located at equator at the center, which is known as metaphasic plate. Okay, all the chromosomes are aligned along a single metaphasic plate. Best phase to observe the shape and the size of chromosome. Remember always that if someone asks you when you can visualize the chromosome in its best shape and size, you have to answer the metaphase. Okay, there are 46 centromeres and each one is attached to the sister chromatids. Remember one thing, that here the chromosome are in duplicated form, but the number is only 46. Okay, that's why there will be 46 centromeres, and to each centromere two sister chromatids will be attached. Okay, so this is pair 1, this is pair 2, up to pair number 23, and each pair there are two homologous chromosomes. Okay, and you need to remember that there will be 46 centromeres in metaphase. Okay, as I told you before that at the metaphase stage of meiosis, the chromosomes can be seen in defined shape and structure. The chromosome has a defined symmetry. Okay, it has a symmetric structure. Why? Because it has to be separated equally into the two daughter cells, right? Therefore all the 46 chromosomes are arranged at the equator, and this is known as metaphasic plate. This is the center of a dividing cell, right? You can see here that the same color of chromosomes are representing the homologous chromosomes, and you can see that 23 pair of chromosomes are present at the metaphasic plate. It means total 46 chromosomes. It means all the chromosomes available in a single cell are arranged on the metaphasic plate, because it has to divide and it has to go into two daughter cells, right? So before going to discuss about the division, about the separation, about the segregation of sister chromatids equally, we should watch what are the components which helps in the division of sister chromatids. So as I told you about the centrosomes and mitotic spindle fibers, so here the role of mitotic spindle fibers and centrosome comes. You can see here that these are the centrosomes which are located at the opposite poles of a dividing cell. Okay, these are the centrosome. These are the 46 chromosomes arranged on a metaphasic plate, right? And these are the mitotic spindle fibers. Now you can see here that the one end of these mitotic spindle fibers are attached at the centrosome, and one end of these mitotic spindle fibers are attached to the chromosomes, which has to be separated. Okay, so before going forward, we should understand more about the centrosome. Okay, and how this centrosome helps in the segregation of chromosomes. Here we learn some important concepts about centrosome. So what is centrosome? Centrosome is a special microtubule organizing center, organizing structure. Okay. Now, how centrosome forms mitotic spindle fibers? This is the very important question. Every cell has a network of cytoskeleton in it. Okay, these are the network of cytoskeleton. And you know what is the function of these cytoskeleton? These cytoskeleton provide a shape to the cell. Okay, the main function of the cytoskeleton is to provide defined shape of a cell. They keep the cell organelles at fixed position. Another important function of these cytoskeleton is that they help in protein trafficking, protein translocation. Why? Because they have so many motor proteins. So this is the function of cytoskeleton. Okay, but when these cells are in interphase, when they perform metabolic functions like replication, transcription, translation, and other metabolic functions, right? But at the time of cell division, all those metabolic functions are not required. What is required? What is important right now? The separation of chromosome, the separation of sister chromatids of each and every chromosome, right? So to perform this function, to perform separation of chromosome, these cytoskeleton gets disassembled. Okay, gets disassembled. Why? Because they are not required right now. What is required? The separation of chromosomes. So the disassembly of these cytoskeleton occurs, and they are modified to form mitotic spindle fibers. Okay, now read this statement again. Now you will understand in a better way. Microtubules of the cytoskeleton undergoes sweeping disassembly in preparation for their reassembly as components of a complex micro-sized machine called mitotic spindle. They form mitotic spindle. Disassembly of these cytoskeleton leads to the assembly of mitotic spindle, which helps in the separation of chromosomes. Rapid disassembly of the interphase cytoskeleton. Remember, I told you that the cytoskeleton is required by the cell when they are in interphase, when they have to perform metabolic functions. Okay, now here at the time of chromosome division, rapid disassembly of the interphase cytoskeleton occurs by the inactivation of proteins that stabilize microtubules. The proteins which helps in the stabilization of interphase cytoskeleton here gets inactivated, and due to inactivation of those proteins, the cytoskeleton gets disassembled. Okay, and the components released by the disassembly of this cytoskeleton, these are components required for the assembly of mitotic spindles. Okay, this is the centrosome and this is the mitotic spindles which attach to the chromosomes. Okay, got it? Now we can go ahead. Okay, so before moving forward, there are some also important point about the centrosomes. Now here we will learn about the division of centrosome. You can see here that this is early G1 phase, this is S phase, and this is mitosis phase. Okay, so now you know that in when the cell is in early G1 phase, this is the centrosome, and there are two centrioles are present in the centrosome. These are centrioles. Okay, in early G1 phase, you can see here that in one centrosome there are two centrioles. Okay, now when this enters into the S phase, S phase is the synthesis phase where the DNA replication takes place. Here centrioles in the centrosome also gets replicated, and you can see here that now there are four centrioles. These are the daughter centrioles. Now what happens when the cell enters from S phase to the mitosis phase? This single centriosome splits and divide into two daughter centrosomes, and they start moving towards the opposite poles. Okay, you can see here this is the one centrosome and this is second centrosome, and these two centrosomes are the daughter centrosomes of this parent centrosome. Right, now you can see that two centrioles came into this daughter cells and two centrioles came into this daughter cells. Now the cell division will take place, and this will become single cell and this will become single cell. This will separately enter into separate G1 phase, and this will also enter into the separate G1 phase and carry single centrosome. Now when this daughter cell will enter from G1 phase to S phase, then again these centrioles in the centrosome will split and divide into four centrioles. So this is the cycle of centrosome. Now at the beginning of mitosis, the centrosome splits into two adjacent centrosomes. At the beginning of mitosis, you can see here at the beginning of mitosis, suppose this is the end of S phase and this is the beginning of mitosis phase. So at the beginning of mitosis, this centrosome split into two adjacent centrosomes, 1 and 2, each containing a pair of mother-daughter centrioles. This one is mother, this one is daughter, or it can be vice versa. And this centrosome is also carrying mother-daughter centrioles. Right. Now, the first stage in the formation of mitotic spindle is the appearance of microtubules. How the mitotic spindle fibers appear, how the mitotic spindle fiber forms by appearance of microtubules in a sunburst arrangement. You might have seen these in your childhood, in your lower grade classes, and we use picture of sun, we used to draw like this. Okay, and we used to make heart like this. Okay, hills like this, right? So how we used to draw the sun? By drawing these sun burst rays. Okay, so the formation of mitotic spindle fibers also takes place like sunburst arrangement. You can see here. Okay, these are like sunburst arrangement, or you can call it asters. Right, now microtubules grow by addition of subunits to the plus end, while their minus end remains associated with the pericentriolar material of the centrosome. Now, this is the minus end of, suppose this is one single mitotic spindle fiber, this is another mitotic spindle fiber. So here I want to tell you that this is the minus end and this is the plus end. Okay, so the components which are released by the disassembly of cytoskeleton in interphase are added here at the plus end. This is the plus end, and the components continuously are added here, and the size of this mitotic spindle fiber continue to grow, and this minus end is remain attached to the centrosome, where the growth occurs at the positive end, at the plus end. Right, now you can see here that these mitotic spindle fiber continue to grow. Okay, you can see here that some mitotic spindle fibers are attached to the chromosome, you can see here, and some are not, right? This is the centriole. The mitotic spindle fibers which are not attached to the chromosome are known as polar spindle microtubules. Okay, there are different kind of mitotic spindle fibers. First type is polar spindle microtubules which are not attached to any chromosome. Second type of microtubule are chromosomal spindle fibers. You can see here chromosomal, or you can say kinetochore spindle fiber. Why? Because these mitotic spindles are attached to the kinetochores located at the centromere of chromosome here. Okay, some mitotic spindle fibers are known as astral spindle microtubules because they are appearing like asters, like sunburst, and they are not participating in the chromosome separation, chromosome division. Okay, and these are the chromosomes arranged at the metaphasic plate. So these were the some basic important points about the centrosome, types of mitotic spindle fibers, how the mitotic spindle fiber formation takes place, and how these mitotic spindle fibers participate in the separation of chromosomes. Okay, now we will go ahead, and now we will discuss about the next phase that comes after the metaphase. As you learned that how the metaphasic chromosomes were arranged on the metaphasic plate, now after metaphase the anaphase step comes where the separation of sister chromatids occurs. Okay, and they start moving towards the opposite poles, right? Okay, so how this separation occurs? Now you can see here that some mitotic spindle fibers are attached to the chromosome, attached to the chromatids. Here you can see, and some are not, like these ones, as I told you in the previous slide. Okay, so the mitotic spindle fibers that are attached to the chromatids continuously shorten. The size of the mitotic spindle fibers that are attached to the chromatid continuously decrease. Okay, but the mitotic spindle fibers which are not attached to any chromatid, the size of these mitotic spindle fibers continuously increase. Okay, so both these process complement with each other and exerts a pressure here in the middle, exerts a force, a pressure, which helps in the segregation of these chromatids toward the opposite poles. Okay, right? So this is how the separation of sister chromatids occur. Now we will discuss about some important points about the anaphase. Here the division of centromere occurs. Centromeres split and chromatids divide. You can see here this is happening, right? Spindle fibers attached to the centromere begins to shorten. Spindle fibers, I told you that the spindle fibers which is attached to centromere begins to shorten. Okay, they pull the chromatids toward the opposite pole. Okay, sister chromatids separate and move toward the opposite spindle poles. Each separated chromatids become separate chromosomes. Now these separated chromatids which are moving towards the opposite poles, now they will later become separate chromosomes. Okay, why? Because they will enter into separate daughter cells. They will enter into separate daughter cells, and these chromosomes will enter into the separate daughter cells. So they will become chromosomes. These chromatids will become chromosomes, right? Now, by the end of anaphase, complete set of chromosome is present at each end of the cell. As the anaphase comes to its end, the cell has complete set of chromosomes at each opposite pole, at this one and this one. 46 chromosomes will be at this pole and 46 chromosomes will be at this pole. Now, remember one thing, before anaphase, the cell had 90, sorry, the cell has 9, before anaphase, in up to till metaphase stage, the cell had only 46 number of chromosomes. But here in anaphase, there is equal division of all the 46 chromosomes. So the cell will have 92 chromosomes. Now you can see here 92 chromosomes, and the content was doubled earlier. Now the number of chromosomes also get doubled in this anaphase, right? Now we will discuss about the telophase, which is the next phase. What happens in telophase? Chromosomes cluster at opposite poles. You can see here the chromosomes are clustered at opposite poles. Chromosomes start denaturing to form chromatin. Now you know that as the mitosis stage comes to end slowly, now the cells which will be divided into two daughter cells, and the chromosomes that will be present in those two daughter cells will will have to convert into the chromatin. Okay, less condensed phase, less compact phase, right? So chromosome start denaturing to form chromatin. Suppose this is the cycle: G1 phase, H2 phase, G2 phase, M phase. Okay, you know that in M phase the separation of chromosome occurs, and during the metaphase of M phase, the size of the chromosome, the shape of the chromosome is defined. But when the cell leaves metaphase, the size of the chromosome, the symmetry of the chromosomes again start start losing its structure, its uh, compactness, its condensation. Okay, so they start to denature when they leave the M phase and move toward the G1 phase, S2 phase, and when again after S2 phase, when they enter into G2 phase and move close to the M phase, the condensation again starts, the compaction again starts. Okay, the definition of the shape gets better, the symmetry of the chromosome gets better when they move close to the M phase, close to the metaphase, and when they goes away from the metaphase, the chromosomes gets denature, the symmetry gets denature, and the chromosomes converted again into the chromatin. Okay, so this is the cycle of chromosome and chromatin. Now here in telophase, the nuclear membrane start reappearing. Nuclear membrane like this. Nuclear membrane start reappearing. Mitotic spindle start disappearing. These mitotic spindle will start disappearing slowly. Golgi complex and endoplasmic reticulum reforms. In telophase, these cell organelles reforms. Okay, if you remember, when the cell entered into the mitotic phase, and the prophase, early prophase was the first stage of M phase where these cell organelles were disappeared. Now here in telophase, this is the last stage of M phase, these cell organelles will start reappearing. Okay, now chromosomes become more and more dispersed until they disappear from view under the microscope. So here in telophase, the chromosomes become dispersed. Slowly, they are denatured. Okay, so they disappear from the focus point. You cannot visible chromosome in a defined shape and structure here in telophase, right? Okay, now we will summarize the separation of chromosome from metaphase to the telophase and how the equal number of chromosomes goes into the daughter cell. We will see with the help of this animation. Okay, you know that this is the arrangement of 46 chromosomes on the metaphase plate, and when the cell enters from metaphase to anaphase, these sister chromatids divide and start moving towards the opposite poles. Okay, you can see here that slowly they are moving towards the opposite poles, and when the finally cell enters into the anaphase, you can see here that the 46 sister chromatids 46 sister chromatids are at this pole and 46 chromatids are at this pole. Okay, so there are total 92 chromatids present in this cell. The content is also equal to 92 and the number is also equal to 92. So here is the condition 4n and 4c. Okay, right. Now after anaphase, the telophase is the last stage where the nuclear membrane start reappearing. This is the nuclear membrane which start reappearing. Okay, and the spindle disappears. You can see here that the mitotic spindles are disappearing slowly. Okay, after telophase, the cytokinesis. Finally, cytokinesis occurs, which divides the parent cell into two daughter cells. You can see here. Okay, and each daughter cell contains 46 number of chromosomes. 46 number of chromosome, content is also 46, number is also 46, right? Now this cell will again enter into the S phase, G1 phase, S phase, G2 phase, and then M phase, and this cell will also independently enter into the G1, S phase, G2 phase, and then M phase. Okay, so this cycle of division remains continued. Okay, and this is how the separation of chromosomes occurs. Right now, there are some important points about the cytokinesis also, like mitosis. When we talk about the mitosis, it means that mitosis accomplishes the segregation of duplicated chromosomes into daughter nuclei. Remember, in mitosis, the separation of cell does not occur. Separation of the duplicated chromosomes occur in the mitosis process. Okay, but the separation of daughter nuclei, you can say, occur in the mitosis process, but the cells does not divide. The cell is divided into two daughter cells by a separate process which is known as cytokinesis. Okay, now when a parent cell divides into two daughter cells, a furrow-like structure is found here at the middle of the two cells. Okay, so you have to remember that when we talk about animal cell, this cell furrowing is mediated by actin-myosin event, and when we talk about the plant cell, this is different. This this furrowing, cell furrowing, is formed by the phragmoplast, which is derived from the Golgi body. So this is the important point from the exam point of view. Okay, so you have to remember the difference between furrowing in animal cell and plant cell. Now we discussed about the mitosis process till now. Okay, and we have covered almost all the important points related to mitosis, how the process of mitosis occurs. Now we can go to discuss about meiosis. Okay, so before going into the process of meiosis, we should first discuss about the background of meiosis. why meiosis occurs. Okay, and what is the importance of meiosis? You know that I told you in the earlier slides in the introduction of this lecture that there are two type of cells in our body. One is vegetative cell and another is reproductive cells. Okay, so the vegetative cells helps in the basic growth and maintenance of the body, while the reproductive cells helps in the reproduction. Okay, and remember the reproduction process where the formation of gametes occur, and for the formation of gametes the process of meiosis is required. Okay, so meiosis always occur in reproductive cells. It does not and it cannot be found in the division of somatic cells. Okay, so it is restricted to the formation of gametes. It is restricted to the division of reproductive cells, and it plays important role in the reproduction process in the formation of gametes, in the formation of haploid gametes. Okay, now you know that when we talk about a zygote, you know that uh, that zygote is diploid. Okay, there are diploid means 2n. Okay, what is the meaning of 2n here? N represents the set of chromosome. N represents the set of chromosome. So 1n means one set of chromosome, and 2n means two set of chromosome, right? And you know that if we talk about human cells, each human cell has 2n condition, means two set of chromosomes. Okay, and each set has 23 chromosomes. Okay, so one set has 23 chromosomes, so two set will have 46 chromosomes. Right now you will understand in a better way. A zygote has a diploid condition. It means it has two set of chromosome. That's why the 2n is written here. So in a zygote, one set of chromosome comes from the male parent. Okay, one set of chromosome comes from the male parent and another set of chromosome comes from the female parent. That's why the condition here you can see the 2. Okay, now let's talk about this male parent. Okay, so these are the diploid gametic cells. Gametic cells, or you can say germ cells which helps in the reproduction, which takes participate in the reproduction process. Okay, so what happens, these germ cells first divided into two daughter cells. Okay, and this division is the reductional division. Reductional division means you can see here that the number of chromosomes reduced to half in each daughter cells. Here there were two set of chromosomes, and you can see here when this parent cell divided into two daughter cells, each daughter cell received one set of chromosomes. Okay, they received half number of chromosomes as compared to parent cells, right? So this is the reductional division. Now each of the daughter cell will be further divided into two daughter cells, and this process is different from the first division. You can see here that there is equitational division. The parent cell will also containing one set of chromosome, and the daughter cell is also containing one set of chromosome. Each daughter cell is containing one set of chromosome. So there are equal number of chromosomes present in daughter cells and parent cells. So this division is equitational division, right? Now similarly this similarly the process will occur in the female parent. Okay, so as I told you in the introduction part that in meiosis the parent cell finally divide into four haploid cells. Okay, four daughter cells you can see here, but this process takes place in two different steps. Okay, now I told you that this is the diploid gametic cells and these are haploid gametic cells, and how they divided the with the help of two separate process. The first division is known as meiosis 1, which is the reductional division, and the second process is known as meiosis second, which is the equitational division. Okay, now remember one thing, that this division, that is meiosis second, is equal or equivalent to the mitosis process. It is similar to the mitosis process. Why? Because remember, when we were talking about the mitosis, I told you that the daughter cells receive same number of chromosome as were in parent cells. Parent cell, suppose the parent cell has 46 number of chromosome, the daughter cell will also receive 46 number of chromosome. Each daughter cell will receive the same number of chromosomes as were in parent cell. This were the case in mitosis. And the meiosis second is also like mitosis. Okay, because here also the equitational division is occurring. That's why I told you that this is equivalent to mitosis process. Which one? Meiosis first or meiosis second? Meiosis second. Okay, this is important to remember, right? So now now what happens, you can see here that there are four haploid gametes are produced. Okay, and all these haploid gametes will be different from each and every one. Why? Due to crossing over in chromosomes. This we will talk in our later slides. Okay, where the crossing over takes place. Okay, and how these gametes are different from each other. Okay, so now you know that all these four gametes are different from each other, so and these are also different from each other. So here the fusion of gametes are random. Any of the gamete from male parent can fuse any of the gametes with the female parent, so that they will produce different type of zygotes. They will produce diversity of zygotes. Okay, now remember my point when we were talking about the difference between mitosis and meiosis. I told you that meiosis generates genetic diversity. Okay, why? Because due to the production of diverse haploid gametes. Okay, and due to the random fusion of haploid gametes. So these are the zygotes. These are the variant of zygotes can be found by different combination of gametes. So this is the background of meiosis. This is the importance of meiosis. Now here we will discuss about the steps of meiosis. Okay, but before going to the steps of meiosis, there are some important points. The production of offspring by sexual reproduction includes the union of two cells. You know, two haploid cells combine to form a zygote which is diploid. Okay, the production of offspring by sexual reproduction includes the union of two haploid cells, each with a haploid set of chromosomes. In a sexually reproducing organism, gametes are formed with the help of meiosis. Okay, so here first we will talk about meiosis 1, okay, which is known as reductional division. Suppose this is diploid cell. Okay, now we will also consider the segregation of chromosome along with meiosis. How the chromosomes are divided, how the crossing over between the chromosomes takes place during the meiosis. Okay, so here suppose this is diploid cell, and you know that in each diploid cells there are 46 number of chromosomes, 23 pairs of chromosomes. Okay, and each pair contains two homologous chromosomes. So suppose I have taken one pair of homologous chromosomes from the 23 pairs. Any, you can imagine any of the pair from 23 pairs. Okay, so this is pair number 1. Like this, there are pair number 2, pair number 3, pair number 4, pair number 5, and pair up to pair number 23. So there are 23 pair of chromosome in each diploid cells, but to understand in a better way, we should take only one pair, and we will see how these chromosomes in this pair will be divided in the meiosis. Okay, now when during meiosis 1, this diploid cells divided into two daughter cells, and each daughter cell will contain half set of chromosome. Okay, so what will happen, from this homologous pair of chromosome, one chromosome will be entered into one daughter cell, and one chromosome will enter into another daughter cell. Okay, understand this concept in this in a better way. Suppose this is a homologous pair of chromosome. Okay, suppose this is pair number 1, this is pair number 2, this is pair number 3, this is pair number 4, and up to pair number 23. Okay, you know that 23 pairs of chromosomes are present in diploid cells. Okay, so what will happen here in meiosis 1? From each pair of homologous chromosome, one chromosome will enter into one daughter cell, and another chromosome will enter into different another daughter cells. So they will be separated from each other. Homologous chromosomes will be separated from each other in meiosis 1. Right? Got the point? So what will happen here in meiosis 1? The separation of homologous chromosomes. Right? The number of chromosomes reduced from 46 to 23. 46 in parent cell and 23 in each gametic daughter cells. Now each daughter cell will contain half set of chromosome. 23 chromosomes will be here and 23 chromosomes will be here. Right? Separation of homologous chromosome occur in meiosis 1. I told you. Now when meiosis 2 will take place, what will happen? These daughter cell will further divided into two daughter cells. Okay, and this will be equitational division. So here this is one chromosome, this is single chromosome, but it is represented by two chromatids, but the number is one, only one single chromosome. Okay, so this single chromosome will be equally divided into two chromosomes, and from those two chromosomes, one will enter into this one and another will enter into this one. Okay, like this. From here, one chromatid will enter into this cell, another chromatid will enter into this cell, and similarly for this chromosome will also take place. Okay, so suppose this is chromatid number 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4. So chromatid number 1 will go into this daughter cell, 2 will into this daughter cell, 3 in this daughter cell, and 4th into this daughter cell. So now you have to remember some important points about meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. In meiosis 1, we discussed that the separation of homologous chromosome occurs. Separation of homologous chromosome. Here, separation of homologous chromosome. Okay, but when we talk about the meiosis second, here the separation of sister chromatids occur. Sister chromatids occur. These are the sister chromatids which are separated during the meiosis second. Okay, so you have to know the difference between meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. Meiosis 1 is the reductional division where the half number of chromosome goes into the daughter cell, and in meiosis 1 the separation of homologous chromosome occurs. But when we talk about the meiosis second, the separation of sister chromatids occurs. Okay, so this is important from the exam point of view. Separation of sister chromatids of homologous chromosomes. These are the two homologous chromosomes which separated during the meiosis 1. Now from each chromosome, the sister chromatids will be separated from each other. Right? Okay. Now we will see how many steps are involved in the meiosis process. So you know that there are two steps, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. Okay, and in each of the cell division, meiosis 1 and meiosis 2, there are different steps. Okay, like when we talk about the meiosis 1, the first stage is prophase 1, and in prophase 1 there are different steps like liptotin, zygotin, pachytin, diplotin, dikinesis. And when the prophase 1 is completed, okay, it means when all these 5 steps are completed, the prophase 1 completes, and then the cell enters into the pro-metaphase. After that, metaphase 1, anaphase 1, telophase 1. Okay, and here the meiosis 1 is completed. It means the first division of cell is completed. Now both the divided daughter cells will enter into the meiosis second. So these steps will be repeated: prophase second, prometaphase second, metaphase second, anaphase second, and telophase second. Okay, now you know the basic concepts about all these prophase, all these steps: prophase 1, prometaphase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. You know what type of process takes place in these steps. Okay, how the chromosomes start condensing. Okay, how the chromosomes start moving towards the equator. Okay, at what stage all the chromosomes are arranged at the metaphasic plate. Okay, you know all the things about these steps: prophase 1, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, right? But these steps, liptotin, zygotin, pachytin, diplotin, and dikinesis, these are important steps which we will discuss in detail. Okay, so first we will talk about the liptotin stage, which comes under the prophase 1. The liptotin meaning is thread-like. It means that the chromosome first become visible as long thread-like structure. You know that when the cell enters into the meiosis 1, okay, meiosis 1, the chromosomes are in less condensed form, are not defined properly, are not symmetrical properly. Okay, and when it will slowly move towards the metaphase, the shape of the chromosome gets better, the symmetry of the chromosome gets better. But here in prophase, and especially in liptotin phase, the shape of the chromosome is like a thread. That's why it is known as liptotin stage. Okay, now after liptotin, zygotin stage comes, and the meaning of zygotin is paired thread. Okay, now You know that I told you that there are 23 pair of chromosomes, 23 pair of homologous chromosome. Like this is one homologous pair of chromosome, this is second homologous pair of chromosome, this is third pair of homologous pair of chromosome, this is fourth homologous pair of chromosome, right? So what happens in the zygote stage? All the homologous chromosomes start pairing with each other. Okay, all the chromosomes, all the homologous chromosomes start pairing with each other. Okay, they recognize each other and start pairing with each other. Okay, before zygote stage, all the homologous chromosomes are scattered here and there. They may be far from each other, but when they enter into the zygote stage, they recognize them each other and start pairing with each other. Okay, with the help of synaptonymal complex formation between these homologous pairs. Okay, the homologous chromosome pairing takes place with the help of synaptonymal complex formation, which takes place between these two homologous chromosomes. Okay, so the pairing starts in zygote stage. Chromosome first become visible as long thread-like structure. Pairing of homologous chromosome starts here. Okay, the process of chromosome pairing is called synapsis. This process of pairing is called as synapsis. Okay, now synaptonymal complex formation takes place between homologous chromosomes. I told you the synaptonymal complex formation takes place between homologous chromosome and which helps in the pairing. At this stage, chromosomes are referred as bivalent structure. Okay, bivalent structure. It means that this is the these are two homologous chromosome, and when they are paired with each other, you know that this is one chromosome and this is another chromosome. Okay, so it means bivalent structure because there are two chromosomes paired with each other, and that's why this structure is known as bivalent structure of chromosome. At the end of zygote, synapsis formation takes place between all the homologous chromosomes. As soon as the zygote stage comes to end, all the homologous chromosomes are paired with each other. All the 23 pair of chromosomes are paired with each other. Right? Now this cell will enter into the Petchotin stage where the bivalent structure are completely seen. You can see here. Okay. So suppose this is the homologous chromosome. These two are homologous chromosomes. Okay. And the pairing between them took place in zygote stage. Okay. So this structure is known as bivalent structure, and also it is known as tetrad structure. Now why this is called tetrad structure? Because there are four chromatids you can see here in this structure. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's why it is known as tetrad structure also. Okay. Now in the homologous are held close together along their length by the synaptonymal complex. Okay, all the homologous chromosomes are held together along their length, right? Formation of recombination nodules which contains enzymatic machinery for recombination. Now why this pairing of homologous chromosome occurs? Suppose this is one homologous chromosome, this is second homologous chromosome. I told you that the pairing between these chromosomes occur and the formation of recombination nodules between the homologous chromosomes occur. This recombination nodule contains enzymatic machinery which helps in the recombination, which helps in the crossing over of these two chromatids. These two chromatids will be exchanged with each other. Okay, how? This we will see in the next stage, that is diplotin. Crossing over takes place at the recombination nodule. Where the recombination nodules are seen, the crossing over takes place. How? Like this. Suppose this is one homologous chromosome and this is another homologous chromosome, and the you can see here that the this is here the recombination nodule was formed. Where the recombination nodule are seen, the crossing over takes place. Okay, it means the crossing over between two chromatids, and these chromatids will be exchanged with each other. Recombination is completed by the Pachaitin stage. Okay, as the Pachaitin stage comes to end, the recombination also is completed. Right. Now the cell will enter into the diplotin stage where the tetrad structure is seen. Where the tetrad structure is seen, you can see here tetrad structure. Okay, so there is difference between bivalent structure and tetrad structure. What is the difference? When the homologous chromosomes are paired with each other, along their length, this structure is known as bivalent structure, right? But when the homologous chromosomes are involved in crossing over, this type of structure is known as tetrad. Okay, right? So the tetrad structure you can see here in the diplotin stage. Okay, and where the crossing over take place, the chiasma structure can be seen. The X-shaped structure. Okay, the X-shaped structure you can see here. The X-shaped structure which formed during the crossover. This is the X-shaped structure is known as chiasma. Okay, so chiasma is the singular, and sorry, chiasma is the plural and chiasmata is the singular. It means that if we talk about one tetrad structure, one crossing over, this is known as chiasmata, and when we will talk about all the crossing over, it will be known as chiasma formation. Okay, so the dissolution of synaptonymal complex, when the synaptonymal complex which formed during the Pachaitin stage where the crossing over were taking place, here in diplotin stage the dissolution of synaptonymal complex takes place. It means synaptonymal complex start dissolving. Okay, and due to dissolution of synaptonymal complex, the chiasma structure can be seen. Okay, X type structure can be seen between two homologous chromosomes. Chiasmata is located where crossing over had previously taken place, right? Chiasmata formation takes place at the covalent junction between non-sister chromatids of two homologous chromosomes. Okay, so crossing over will always takes place between non-sister chromatids. You know that if we talk about these chromatids, these are the sister chromatids. Sister chromatids are those chromatids which are attached to the single centromere, same centromere, but non-sister chromatids which are attached to two different centromere, like this and this. These are non-sister chromatids, and crossing over takes between the non-sister chromatids of two homologous chromosomes. Okay, now in dikinesis step, the separation of homologous chromosomes. The homologous chromosomes which took participate in the recombination, in the crossing over, in the exchange of chromatids, now they will be separated from each other after they exchange their chromatids with each other. And this separation will take place in dikinesis. Here the chromosome attains maximum condensation. Right? Why? Because they have to separate it in metaphase. Chiasmata moves toward the end of chromosome. Okay, what does it mean? It means that you know that at the earlier step the chiasmata formation took place. It means that this type of structure, this egg-shaped structure was seen in the diplotin stage. But here in dikinesis step, this chiasmata will move towards the terminal end and like this. Okay, so it will move toward the terminal end slowly. This will be removed from the between the homologous chromosome, and two homologous chromosome will be separated from each other. At the end of dikinesis, mitotic spindle is assembled. Now, why? Because this is going to enter into the metaphase. So these homologous chromosome will need to be separated from each other. And you know that for the separation, you need mitotic spindle. So mitotic spindle assembly starts here at the end of dikinesis, and chromosomes are ready to be separated, right? Dikinesis ends with the disappearance of nucleolus. Here the nucleolus get disappeared, the nuclear membrane start breakdown, the breakdown of nuclear membrane starts, and the movement of tetrads to the metaphasic plate. The tetrads which form during the diplotin and dikinesis, they start moving toward the equator, toward the metaphasic plate for the separation. Okay, now this was the case of interphase. Now at the end of prophase, this is the shape of tetrad chromosome structure. Okay, now the cell will enter from prophase to the prometaphase and then metaphase. And now you know that we don't need to discuss again all the detailed of prophase, prometaphase and metaphase. You know that from when the cell enters from prophase 1 to metaphase 1, all the chromosomes are arranged at the metaphasic plate for the division. When it will enter from metaphase 1 to the anaphase 1, the tetrad structure which were arranged at the metaphasic plate will start moving towards the opposite poles. Okay, you can see here that there is separation of homologous chromosome in meiosis 1. This is the meiosis 1, and here the separation of homologous chromosome is happening. Okay, and this is known as reduction division. Now after the anaphase 1, the cell will enter into the telophase 1, and in telophase 1, all the separated homologous chromosomes are arranged at the opposite poles. Okay, now at the end of meiosis 1, first division took place. One parent cell divided into two daughter cells. You can see here, and each daughter cell contained 23 number of chromosomes. This cell were containing 46 number of chromosomes, and these daughter cells are containing 23 number of chromosomes. Now it will enter from prophase second to the metaphase second, where all these 23 chromosomes will be arranged at the metaphasic plate. After metaphase second, they will enter into the anaphase second. Okay, anaphase second. After metaphase second, they will enter into the anaphase second, where the separation of sister chromatids will occur. Okay, and at the telophase, you will see that 23 number of chromosomes are present at this pole, and 23 number of chromatids are present at this pole. Similarly, here you can see. Okay, and after the telophase second completes, the dikinesis occurs, and you will get 4 haploid cells with 23 number of chromosomes in each cells. Okay, and haploid gametic cells. So this is how the meiosis second process gets completed. Okay, now I hope that you know the basic difference between the meiosis 1 and meiosis second, and also what is the difference between mitosis and meiosis. If you find this video helpful, please hit the like button and share this video with your friends and in your groups. We will meet in the next lecture with different topic. Till then, take care and thank you so much.